Mountain peaks as far as the eye can see. This is the Cordillera Blanca, a majestic mountain range at the heart of the Andes. A popular destination for European mountaineers and other tourists. Every year, around 30,000 people come to discover this breathtaking landscape. This is the Pasteur Glacier, sitting at an altitude of 5,200 meters.
Yeah, it's astonishing. It's breathtaking. When you see the glacier, it's like you're in a different world.
But behind this picture postcard landscape lies a disturbing reality.
In 10
years' time, this glacier will surely have disappeared. The melting of the glaciers has been greatly accelerated by climate change. 20 years ago, I used to come here with my family to ski.
This excursion, aiming to raise awareness about the consequences of climate change, has been offered by tourist agencies since 2013.
It's something I never expected. Seeing it really melting in front of my eyes, it's really sad.
The melting ice is being closely monitored by Peru's National Glaciology Institute. 50 kilometers from the Pasteur Glacier, this team of scientists is out in the field to study the Palca-Coca Lake, which is now considered a threat. In 50 years, its volume has multiplied by 34.
Unstable glaciers can cause avalanches. If they then fall into the lake, they can make it overflow. That could lead to flooding, affecting the town of Huaraz.
Climate change, responsible for melting the glaciers, has been increasing the risk of disaster. In a worst-case scenario, the lake would spill millions of cubic meters of water onto Huaraz and its 120,000 inhabitants 23 kilometers below.
It would hit the city in 30 to 40 minutes. That's why the glacier lake has an early warning system.
According to these researchers, a major flood would badly affect more than 45,000 people in Huaraz. This map, drawn up by the Institute of Glaciology, underlines the risk.
Over 50% of the city is at high or very high risk. Everything corresponding to the colour red or orange could be destroyed or partially destroyed and become uninhabitable.
Sol Luciano owns a house in one of these at-risk areas. There are currently 2 dikes at the foot of the lake. Sol is calling for a third to be built. The cost of the work has been estimated at €4 million. Sol says the regional government should not have to foot the bill.
Scientists have clearly shown that industrial companies pollute and that they're responsible for climate change.
With help from the NGO Germanwatch, Sol has decided to take German electricity supplier RWE to court. The company does not operate in Peru, but Germanwatch accuses it of being responsible for 0.5% of the world's CO2 emissions since the beginning of the industrial era.
That same percentage would be equivalent to a contribution of €17,000, which the company would have to give to finance the work on a dike and thus reduce the risks.
Judges from the German court in Hamm visited the site in 2022 and are due to give a verdict in the autumn. Meanwhile, to protect the town, local authorities are focusing on prevention. Every year, Huaraz's school children parade through the streets with a united purpose: to give information about the reflexes that can save lives in the event of a disaster.
We have to prevent this type of disaster. It could happen at any time, because nature has no warning.
It's a bit scary because perhaps we're not so well prepared. You could die or lose loved ones. For example, you could be all happy at home and the ground starts to shake. So you need to be prepared for any situation.
Similar tragedies have already occurred in the region. Everyone here is aware of what happened on the 31st of May 1970. On that day, the town of Yungay was completely buried in an avalanche caused by an earthquake. In just 5 minutes, Javier, who was 22 years old at the time, saw his town disappear under 53 million cubic meters of rock, ice and earth.
The whole town was covered. There wasn't a house left standing in the whole town. Of the 18 to 20,000 residents, only 480 of us survived.
Both his parents and his grandparents didn't make it. A total of 50,000 dead. Javier had gone walking with friends and was saved by climbing a hill.
We covered our faces to protect ourselves. When we looked up, there was nothing left of the town.
A trauma still deeply rooted in people's memories here and commemorated every year with a dedicated ceremony. This valley is already familiar with the extreme dangers of nature. Now the melting glaciers are posing a new threat. Around 50 dangerous glacial lakes are currently being monitored across the Cordillera Blanca.